when he's available, he must be a coach's dream.
St James's Park, or St Reece James Park, shall we call it, because how good was he?
He's not got the really, really crispy, crunchy edges and the really, he's not prime roast potato yet so far this season.
Hello and welcome back to the Chelsea Sunsport YouTube channel for another episode of Chelsea Exposed, the last one before Christmas, and we're going to be taking a look back at the Newcastle game. You can see me dressed here in my festive Chelsea Christmas jumper, and Dan's joined alongside me, Dan King, Chelsea correspondent.
This is my concession. It's kind of Chelsea blue, but I'm not quite in the Christmas spirit yet.
He's made something of an effort. You've got to give him credit for that. But yeah, feeling very festive, very excited for Christmas. I am indeed. And we're going to start off with a bit of Chelsea festive fun, where we're going to compare a rogue idea from the producers of Chelsea Exposed, I'll admit. Not one that even my creative brains can come up with. But we're going to start off by comparing each part of a Christmas dinner, the key components of a Christmas dinner. We can argue as well about what they are. But we're going to compare each part of a Christmas dinner to a member of the Chelsea team. So we've had a bit of a think about this morning. I had a brief look on my commute into work. So we're going to start off with the turkey. Mm-hmm. This is, for me, I really like a bit of turkey, but it's a bit dry. It's a bit bland.
It's not the most exciting part of the Christmas dinner.
Yeah. So who's your Chelsea turkey, Dan?
The essential person. I mean, He's got very exciting hair, obviously, but probably Marc Cucurella. And I think it almost to have him as the turkey, I think, is actually a compliment in its way, because we become so used to him giving 7, 8, sometimes even 9 out of 10 performances that he.
I'm doing the ratings,
and actually he is the player, probably apart from Trevor Joao, he's probably played the most games of the outfield, so he's always there, and I think he's an essential part of any strong Chelsea team. Just like you can't really have a Christmas dinner without the turkey, and he's boringly good, Cucurella, but he's an essential element of the team.
Totally agree. You know what you're going to get from him. He's pretty standard, doesn't do anything too exciting all the time, but very consistent. I'm inclined to agree that he's your Chelsea turkey. And the next part, we're going to go for the potatoes, the golden crispy roast potatoes with your Christmas dinner. Who's your Chelsea golden boy? I think there's probably only one man, isn't there?
There's only one answer, and much like potato to any roast, when they're not there, you really miss them.
Exactly.
And Cole Palmer is that player. I mean, he's not quite himself 100% yet. He's not got the really, really crispy, crunchy edges, and the really, he's not prime roast potato yet so far this season. But it's he's working on it, and I think come maybe the middle of January, when things are going to be, when it's going to be really important, that he will be back to his crisp and exciting best.
He's maybe not right now, maybe not your mum's roast potatoes, the ones that just are perfect. Maybe when you go to your grandparents or your aunties for Christmas, you get those. They're good, but they're not quite the best.
Not as good as the ones you can do at home. And I think Cole Palmer, even after he scored goals, he's admitted it's taking time.
Yeah.
I'm finding my way back there, but great to get a goal. And I think once he starts delivering all the different things that you want out of a roast potato or Cole Palmer, then Chelsea and the whole Christmas dinner will be even better for it.
My personal favourite part of a Christmas dinner, I think, is the pigs in blankets, and that's what we're going to talk about next. So this is your elite player, the player that on their day is the cream of the crop, the best thing on the Chelsea plate, as it shall be. So who's your vote for that one?
Well, I think, with a little bit of recency bias from the Newcastle game, you probably say Reece James.
Yeah.
I think one of the things you'd say about the Chelsea team, and this is again a tribute to Maresca's coaching, that there are players who are very good, who are becoming world class, and of course with Reece James, a lot of that to do is to do with availability, and I think that's a tribute to Chelsea and the medical department, and obviously to James himself, that he's got himself to a position where he can play more games per week. But I think you look at his performance at both ends of the field. I mean, I think I'm right in thinking that free kick, it was slightly right of centre, I think, or pretty centre anyway. And if you've got Cole Palmer on the pitch as you had, and if you're Cole Palmer, you think, well, this is mine. Step back, skipper. This is mine. But no, Reece James had the confidence in himself, and that's an absolutely crucial goal. Set the tone for that thrilling second half, but then also later in the half, an absolutely crucial bit of defending in his own penalty area. And I think just the all-round ability of Reece James, the fact that he's probably his first choice right back for England, but now he's becoming almost such a versatile player in terms of being able to play that midfield role, and he is to an extent allowing Chelsea to weather the unavailability of Romeo Lavia, because Maresca was able to sort of rotate him and Gusto as was one of the midfield pivots, and that's so important when you've got issues with both Caicedo and Fernandes with their fitness.
Yeah, for such a bizarre concept, we're agreeing on a lot of these. I think for that one, you've either got to go for Reece James or maybe Moises Caicedo, but we're gonna save Caicedo for another part of your Christmas dinner. So we'll go for something a bit less popular by some accounts on the Christmas plate, and that's your sprouts. I used to not like sprouts at all when I was younger. Now I'm okay with a Brussels sprout now, especially if it's wrapped in bacon. If you haven't tried that,
that's the way you are. Everything wrapped in bacon.
Yeah, anything wrapped in bacon gets better. Okay. But yeah, so who's your sprout? Maybe some people love them, some people hate them. Who's your Chelsea sprout?
Yeah, I think to the extent of saying people hate, you'd like to think that no Chelsea fans hate any of their players. Yeah. But I think there has been, and there still is, a decent amount of controversy about the goalkeeping position.
Yeah.
Is Robert Sanchez an elite goalkeeper? He's obviously a very, very good goalkeeper, but is he a Champions League winning goalkeeper? Is he a league winning goalkeeper? Is he a Petr Cech? Is he a Thibaut Courtois? And I think he's had a real rehabilitation this season.
Yeah,
I think we've talked again recently about the chants where Chelsea fans are reflecting that they feel he has improved. But I still think in an ideal world they would probably get another goalkeeper in, but I think they've got other priorities at the moment. So I think that some people will still look at him and think he's not. If we're going to win the major prizes again, we need a better goalkeeper than Robert Sanchez, which I think is harsh, but I think that's where Sanchez fits. He's a sprout.
Yeah, I think that's a very fair analysis. I'm going to go for someone different to you on this occasion, because otherwise we'll just go for the same people every time. I was actually speaking to one of my friends yesterday who's more of a kind of casual Chelsea fan than someone who watches every single game and analyses the game, and I was speaking to him about a few of these players, your likes of your Robert Sanchez, your Trevor Chalobah, and one that came up that we had very differing kind of opinions on was Alejandro Garnacho. And I think he's been better than a lot of people expected when they signed him from Manchester United, and I think he creates a lot of chances. It can be frustrating. This is what my friend said yesterday. It can be really frustrating because he creates a lot of chances and doesn't score all of them, but he's scoring a few. He's slowly putting them away, and I think the Newcastle game, which we'll come on to very shortly, was a perfect example of that kind of player where he creates a lot of chances but perhaps was a bit too selfish and takes a lot of shots where sometimes he should cross it or look for a pass. It's decision making.
It's delivering the final third. It's deciding whether I'm going to pass or cross here, and then once you've decided, if you decide to shoot, you better get it on.
You stick to it.
You better get it on target. And I think probably there are times where he's not. Once he's made that decision, he's not testing the goalkeeper, and that's when Maresca or your fellow forwards are going to put their head in your hands and be frustrated. But I think he is offering. He is creating openings, not making the most of it, but he's creating openings. I think that's what Chelsea needed. That's why they've signed both him and Gittins to play down the left, to have someone who will sort of match Madueke's contribution or Neto's contribution from the right, Madueke as it was last season, or what Esteval's able to provide. They want it from both flanks. They want wingers. So I think one thing we all say about him is that, and this is why he's getting to play more, is he is doing the defensive side of the game well, and it's probably why he wasn't playing so much earlier in the season. And now he's grasped what Maresca wants from him, and that's why he's getting to play. But yeah, he's like yes, but not quite sort of player.
Yeah, I mean, well, yeah, he's my sprout. I quite like him, but some other fans are not so convinced on him. I guess it's a matter of whether he improves or not. And the last part of our Christmas dinner, we haven't obviously got everything together here, but the last part we're going to discuss is the gravy, which we're both going to say is Moises Caicedo. Brings everything together, doesn't he?
Exactly. The thing with the Christmas dinner is you've got so many different elements, and getting them all right and hot and ready to go at the same time is really, really hard. But if you've got lashings of really good gravy, then it doesn't matter if the meat's a bit cold or the carrots and the parsnips are a bit overdone. If you've got some nice hot gravy on there, it brings it all together as well. And I think that's what Caicedo does. He, as a midfielder, that's what you expect him to do, uniting the defence and the attack. But his ability sort of can cover up for other players not having such a good day. And when he is on song in that role, he is what makes Chelsea tick almost as much as an on-song Cole Palmer does further forward. But I think without Moises Caicedo in the team, neither Palmer nor anyone else can function at their best. So that's why he is the gravy.
So we hope you enjoyed our Christmas dinner roundup of Chelsea players. We're actually going to move on to some real football to talk about now, which was the Newcastle game at the weekend. Neither of us actually were there. It was our colleague Jack Rosser who was at St James's Park, or St Reece James Park, shall we call it, because how good was he? Amazing performance.
No, he was superb, and I think it is. Especially if you're a neutral and if you're an England fan and you're looking at how Reece James is playing this season and the different roles he's playing and how well he's contributing in those roles, I think it's really. I mean, there've been times where he's not even playing the right of the midfield too. He can play on the left, or he can play as a one with four in front and one up top. He's so versatile. He's so intelligent as a footballer. He can do all these things, and he must be. When he's available, he must be a coach's dream. And I think he's physically really strong. We saw that with the really important challenge he made in his own penalty area. I mean, he's always been a strong guy, but the way he uses his strength is fantastic. But he's also got amazing technique, as we saw again with the free kick he scored. I mean, I remember being at Wembley for the goal he scored from a free kick then, and he barely even celebrated it. And obviously in these circumstances against Newcastle, it was only one back, but it really set the tone. And I think people have criticised, including Maresca, have sort of questioned his leadership skills, and he's still a relatively, well, not in Chelsea's team, but he's still a relatively young player. He's not a spring chicken, but he's not old and experienced. He wouldn't normally have a captain of this age. But I think the way he leads by example is really important. I think he is more kind of vociferous behind the scenes than we see him out in public. But the 100% commitment puts in and the high level of performance he puts in wherever he plays is a huge part of bringing this Chelsea team together.
Totally agree. I think he's been absolutely fantastic. And another mention, we've spoke about it on the show before, but the level of consistency he's now bringing in terms of being available. I think for the last year or so, he's obviously being rotated and managed by Maresca, which is a credit to him, but he hasn't suffered one of those injuries, and all of a sudden now when he goes down, you don't get that heart in your mouth feeling of, oh no, he's going to be out for another X amount of weeks or months. And that is, like you said earlier, real credit to the medical team at Chelsea, himself and Maresca managing his minutes, and hopefully that can become the case for the likes of Wesley Fofana, hopefully long-term Romeo Lavia, but we'll wait and see how that plays out as well. But really, on the Newcastle game, what did you think of the game overall? Because obviously they went 2-0 down, but you sent a message to me when they were 2-0 down, and you were like, this is a good game for them to go on and win.
That's the sort of sarcastic my dad always used to say when we were watching a football match, and if his team or my team were playing really well and were gone 2 goals or more behind, said, oh, good game to win now. And it certainly wasn't. And what was really alarming about that first half performance was that was pretty much Chelsea's first 11. Yes, that's probably arguably their strongest starting 11, except maybe if the lap's playing well and available, he's up top,
and Levi Colwill
and Levi Colwill. But of the players available, that is the strongest team he could have put out for this game. And the fact that they were so, let's say soft, they were just the Newcastle fans, the Newcastle players, it just seemed to be more up for it, and
they looked intimidated.
Yeah, losing duels, it just didn't feel like them at all. And you thought, wow, maybe he has over-rotated. Maybe the fact he's finally brought all these players together in one game. Actually, they're not ready to play together. But I think it's huge credit that they came back to get a draw. And actually, I think given the number of chances they created, they could actually be a little bit disappointed not to come away with all 3 points. I mean, that would have been astonishing.
An incredible turn.
But I think to get a point in there in those circumstances, again playing 12:30 on a Saturday, which is nobody's favourite time.
Yeah.
Nobody's favourite time to play. I think it was a solid point. And in this run of 4 games, which they've got, I think if you'd said at the start they'll get a point at Newcastle, you'd have been pleased with that. You'd have certainly been pleased with it at half time. Maybe at the end you think, I could have got all 3. But yeah, it's a solid foundation on which to base this really important period for Chelsea and Maresca.
We did an interesting bit actually in the Chelsea files a while ago about Chelsea playing at this 12:30 on a Saturday time, and they're actually unbeaten. I can't remember exactly how long it is. I think it's something like 8 or 9 games where they haven't lost in that 12:30 Saturday slot, which is pretty impressive, I think.
Yeah, so maybe it's a bit of kidology from him. He thinks the more he complains about it, the more they'll put them at 12:30 and the more they'll keep winning. But it is tricky, and he gets particularly upset when it's after a European week
or an international break.
He's not quite at Klopp levels of paranoia yet, but he doesn't like it.
Yeah, and another player that I think we should talk about is, well, not even just one player, but one player from a Chelsea perspective, and we'll kind of compare him to the Newcastle equivalent, which is Joao Pedro and Nick Woltemade. Both obviously joined their respective teams in the summer, have had pretty bright starts, and Joao Pedro especially in the Club World Cup, and Woltemade since he joined Newcastle replacing Alexander Isak has taken to the Premier League like a duck to water. Joao Pedro obviously scored that excellent goal against Newcastle. I mean, the first touch with his head is brilliant.
Kick the ball in is fantastic.
But then also the second touch with his knee to just knock it that perfect amount kind of right in front of him, and then the composure to slot the ball past Aaron Ramsdale is really impressive. And what I find a little bit frustrating is that we haven't seen that consistently from him when he's playing as that Chelsea number 9. And I think if he can produce those kind of moments and those bits of quality like he was in the Club World Cup with a run of games, I think he can be that number 9 that Chelsea need. But what I find frustrating is that he tends to have a few of those games and show some really good moments and then massively drop off. And it's like when he's on form, he's brilliant, and when he's not on form, it's really poor.
Yeah, it still feels like he's finding, because he is carrying this injury that we've been told about Maresca, it feels like to me he's still feeling his way back to full fitness and form. But I think it's a credit to him that when he's still not playing his absolute best, he is able to, he is able to make the most of a moment like that, which again is not a season-changing moment. It's a really important moment. The goal kind of comes out of nothing. It's not that Chelsea have, played through and it's a tap in. He and Sanchez have basically created that goal out of nothing whatsoever.
Yeah.
And it's those sort of goals you need to score to, we always say to turn losses into draws and draws into wins. I think it's clear he is more comfortable as a 10, and the idea would have been maybe to rotate him and Palmer behind someone like Delap.
Yeah.
Delap was sort of, given his age as well, being a sort of former under-21 striker like Woltemade. I think Delap and Woltemade were supposed to be the same kind of signings, but because of Delap's unfortunate luck, bad luck with injuries, that hasn't had the chance to happen. But I think also, we're talking about Cole Palmer, I think if Joao Pedro is going to be asked to play number 9 more often now, the fact that you got someone like Cole Palmer back and behind you, once he is totally back up to speed, then some of those, the kind of the really good quality chances that that you need will come, rather than having to make something out of nothing as you did the other day. Hopefully there'll be, for Chelsea fans, there will be more of those kind of, what is it called, like a sweaty goal on FIFA, where they've just passed it around and Palmer just lays it in, and all Joao Pedro's got to do is get it. And don't forget, in the game in Atalanta, didn't have the best game there, but he poached a very striker's goal from the Reece James cross. And then again, even at Cardiff, him coming on at half time was part of the game changing, and he plays he's involved in the second goal, and he just produced that one little moment of quality and vision to clipped the ball over the top for Garnacho's second. So he is contributing. The fact that he is still contributing without being at his best is good news, I think.
Do you think maybe Chelsea should have gone for a Woltemade? You mentioned there they went for Delap, which is maybe their version of a Woltemade. Do you think they kind of missed out on him? Because he's been so clinical, even in his own net in the.
But I think hindsight is a great thing. I think if you went back to the summer, and if you spoke to Newcastle fans and said you were replacing Alexander Isak with Germany under-21 centre forward with no experience of playing in the Premier League whatsoever, then you'd be then they'd be upset, and they'd say, well at least Liam Delap's had a season in the Premier League, scored 12 league goals for a team that ended up getting relegated, and at 30 million compared to Woltemade. I can't remember what he was. He was a lot, 60 a lot odd. More, I think that the whole deal is worth 60 odd. And Woltemade until the weekend, when obviously two very good finishes, he had a little bit of a lean spell. But I think the fans have really taken to him at Newcastle because of his kind of wholehearted display, and just he's got that great sort of almost Lloyd Canfield kind of look with the facial hair.
You flatter me.
And the highlights and so on.
Great celebration too with his. I think. Yeah,
I'm not coordinated enough to do that.
Great celebration
to do that at all. But I think Delap has been unfortunate. But I think with Cole Palmer back, it'll be very good. Should be very good news for Joao Pedro or whoever gets to play in that number 9 role. Yeah,
good news for everyone. I think Cole Palmer being back, and one thing we're going to now look ahead to is the Villa game at the weekend. It's a massive game. That third against fourth. Morgan Rogers on fire. He's someone who's been heavily linked to Chelsea, and obviously really good mates with Cole Palmer. We're doing a piece on that in the paper that will be on Saturday if you want to read about that ahead of the Villa game. And it's a fascinating tie, isn't it? Because Villa 10 games unbeaten. That Man United fan could have cut his hair.
10 games won in a row.
10 games wins in a row. Yeah. That Man United fan could have cut his hair twice, as the Aston Villa admin said on social media. But yeah, fascinating game. Are you looking forward to it?
Oh yeah, I think of all the games I've had this season, I think the Chelsea-Liverpool was one I was looking forward to. But this one, with the run that Villa are on, with the subplot of Rodgers and Palmer. Don't forget, also competing for many people think for one place in the England starting 11. I think it'll be great to see, and we'll get a better idea of how he'll have had some more days, Cole Palmer, to get back up to match fitness and sharpness. And I think provided Chelsea are able to put out something like the starting 11, the strongest starting 11, like they did against Newcastle, I think it will be an absolutely brilliant game, because Villa are full of confidence. Chelsea be a little bit up and down, reflecting.
But they do tend to show up in these big games. In
the bigger games. It'll be a very, because Watkins is sort of showing signs of not so much in goal scoring, but he's setting up goals, and I think it'll be a very interesting test for the Chelsea defence as well. Probably one of the harder ones they've had this season. But as I say, this sequence of 4 games starting with Newcastle, they're so big, and I think we'll have a lot better idea of how good this Chelsea team really is after the game against City, the first one of the new year, and I think we'll have a better idea of what realistic expectations are.
Yeah, well, I think if they lose this game, they might. The kind of feeling, similar to the Liverpool game, like you said earlier this season, the feeling around Chelsea could very much change very quickly, because if they lose, there's obviously multiple teams, given how tight the league is, that could leapfrog Chelsea in the table, and they'll be obviously even further behind the top 3 of Villa, City and Arsenal. But we'll see how they get on at the weekend. That's all we've got time for this episode of Chelsea Exposed. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Let us know down below what you think of the Chelsea against Villa game, how you think they got on against Newcastle, and give us your thoughts on the Chelsea Christmas dinner as well. Let us know who you'd vote for in which spot on your plate. Thank you very much for watching. We'll see you very soon. Thanks very much. Goodbye.